Well, that brings our look at Independence Day 1944 to a close. As far as Norman Corwin goes, 1945 would be an even bigger year for his career. Corwin continued to be active until he passed away at the age of 101 in 2011. He perhaps knew more about radio broadcasting than anyone in history.
You know what I believe, John? If somebody today at a network, let's say there was some man rich as Howard Hughes or Exxon, who wanted to make a plaything of radio and said, here's, unlimited money. And he were to call up a network and put some producer to work on this. With a snap of the fingers, you could come back to radio at its most golden days of its golden age. Nothing has changed. Simply the size of the audience and the economy.
So what's next month's topic on Breaking Walls? Well, we spent the past 2 months focusing specifically on the theater of World War II. But next month, we'll hone in on the theater of thrills.
Well, Bill, when did Suspense go on the air, and were you involved with it from the very first?
I was not involved from the very first. The show was conceived by Charles Vanda, V-A-N-D-A, a very wonderful producer and great old friend, in California. And it came about in 1940 as part of a series called Forecast, which CBS put on in the summer as a replacement for the Lux Radio Theater, which used to play 46 weeks a year, but took an 8-week hiatus. And up until then, they had just filled the show with anything that the network could find. We came up with the idea of using that 8 weeks as a testing ground, a pilot, it would be called today, a ground, for new shows, one of which was Suspense, another was Duffy's Tavern. Several shows were sold and went on into getting well-known in radio. Some others fell by the wayside.
Next time on Breaking Walls, we'll focus on the many stars who appeared in Suspense during 1944, just as the show hit its stride, moving to the West Coast. The reading material used in today's episode was On the Air by John Dunning, Network Radio Ratings by Jim Ramsburg, as well as articles and features from Broadcasting Magazine, the Chicago Tribune, Life Magazine, the Los Angeles Times, the New Yorker, the New York Daily News, Radio Daily, and the Saturday Evening Post. On the interview front, Norman Corwin, Hal Peary, Carl Swenson, Russell Thorson, Joan Tompkins, and Willard Waterman spoke with Chuck Shaden. Hear these full chats at speakingofradio.com. Jackson Beck, Raymond Edward Johnson, Joe Julian, Arnold Moss, and Bill Spear spoke to Dick Bertel and Ed Corcoran for WTIC's The Golden Age of Radio. Hear these interviews at goldenage-wtic.org. And Norman Corwin was with John Dunning for his 71 KNUS radio program from Denver twice in 1982. Subscribe to Burning Gotham, the audio soap opera set in 1835 New York City. It's available everywhere you get your podcasts and at burninggotham.com. I'd also like to thank Walden Hughes and John and Larry Gassman of Spurdvac. Listen to their shows on the Yesterday USA Radio Network. Breaking Walls episode 154 will focus on Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, in 1944 as it grows from a sustained New York program to a big-budget Hollywood show. This episode will be available beginning August 1st, 2024, everywhere you get your podcasts and at thewallbreakers.com. In the meantime, give Breaking Walls a quick rating on whatever platform you listen, especially iTunes. You can also join the Breaking Walls Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thewallbreakers. And support this show for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/thewallbreakers. So until August 1st, my name is James Scully. This has been Breaking Walls episode 153. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you very much.